The House of Representatives has just approved a resolution that Mike Lee is in favor of. It's the War Powers Act that would limit Donald Trump's ability to unilaterally go to war. And of course, this follows Trump's decision to assassinate Iran's top military general. Now, this is non-binding at the moment, and look, let's keep it real. The likelihood of Mitch McConnell even bringing this type of legislation up for a vote in the Senate is, I can't even imagine that would happen, but it is important to note that there are Republicans who are supportive of this, including Mike Lee and Rand Paul, but there are Republicans who are vehemently against it and are speaking out against their fellow Republicans who dare to question Trump and his unilateral ability to go to war with any country he pleases. So first, let's go to Senator Lindsey Graham, who loves going to war and would love the idea of Donald Trump starting another one. Here's what he had to say about Senators Mike Lee and Rand Paul.
I think they're overreacting, quite frankly. Go debate all you want to. I'm going to debate you. Trust me, I'm going to let people know that at this moment in time, to play this game with a War Powers Act, which I think is unconstitutional, is that whether you mean to or not, you're empowering the enemy. You can't have 535 commander-in-chiefs. The War Powers Act is unconstitutional. There's only one commander-in-chief. If you don't like the action the commander-in-chief is taking as Congress, you can defund those actions. We have control of the power of the purse. But they're great Americans, but when we get on the floor of the United States Senate in the next couple of weeks and talking about restricting the ability to deal with the religious Nazis in Iran, it will be seen by the Iranians as division at home. I hope we won't do it.
Now, the War Powers resolution is not unconstitutional. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and read you a portion from the Constitution that's relevant to this conversation. Article 1, Section 8 of the US Constitution stipulates that Congress shall have power to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, and also to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces.
That could mean anything.
That's weird. It's weird that he would call it unconstitutional when it's part of our Constitution. Now, the resolution that just passed in the House, I want to give you a few more details about it. As I mentioned earlier, it's non-binding on the president and would not require his signature. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi nonetheless insisted it has real teeth because it is a statement of the Congress of the United States. Yeah. I can't believe that she would think that's true.
I think that she believes that she needs to pretend that she thinks it's true. Anyway. Which is disappointing because I think that the situation we find ourselves in almost every way is terrible, and I wish that we weren't there. I wish that Donald Trump had acted differently or not acted at all. But I do think that it has provided an opening. We know that like 2 out of 3 of Americans think that the killing of Soleimani has made the US less safe. I think that we're seeing in the news just today a demonstration of how theoretically we might be less safe. I think that situation, the fact that the people don't want a war with Iran, combined with Donald Trump's speech where he wants to pretend that he's interested in peace and diplomacy, creates an opening where you could put way more pressure on Donald Trump and the Republicans, not just to limit their ability to start a war in the future, but say, okay, if you want peace, if you want diplomacy, we want diplomatic talks by this date. We want you to pull out of the region by this time. Like we think, oh, well, if you want peace, then we certainly don't need to be spending so much money abroad. Then let's talk about dialing down the military budget being spent overseas. Like if the people don't want to war, I know it's ridiculous, and I know that most of the Democrats don't even support it. But if he wants peace, if his base, even some of them want peace, certainly the voters in general want peace, then let's push for actual peace, not just a little bit more red tape for him to go through if he wants to bomb Tehran.
Also, I would argue that Democrats should have thought about the future when Obama was president, because they were fine with President Obama making decisions unilaterally when it came to what was going on in the Middle East. That was exactly when Democrats should have thought ahead of time and limited the powers of the executive branch to unilaterally make these types of decisions. And so, yeah. And look, Obama was, I'm not even gonna say he was more responsible. I mean, he expanded Bush era foreign policy and expanded the drone wars. I mean, we didn't go into Yemen for the first time under Trump's leadership. That started under Obama. And so we have to hold our own party accountable. And I know that we do that here on this show on a regular basis, but I'm talking about, broadly Democrats, right? Like we need to be aware of the flaws in our own party and we need to demand more. And I know that people like Nancy Pelosi are very uncomfortable and get very offended by that. But you should read my latest op-ed in The Hill so you can see how she enables Donald Trump more than anyone right now.
Take a look, maybe share it.
Yeah. Actually, you tweeted it out, so you guys should check out his Twitter account. I think I might have too.
And I have one coming up in the next few days, actually, about this very topic.
Oh, I love it. Well, let's go to Mike Lee because he actually responded to Lindsey Graham's nonsense.
That is fundamentally antithetical to the Constitution. Look, I love Lindsey Graham. He's a fantastic guy. We worked closely together on a lot of issues. He's dead wrong insofar as he's suggesting that this is playing a game. Mr. Graham, the Constitution of the United States is not a game. In Federalist 69, Alexander Hamilton explained why it is that we put the war declaration power in Article 1, Section 8, why we put it with Congress rather than the executive. There are good reasons for that, and those reasons need to be respected.
So he makes good points there. So does Rand Paul in this next video.
I think it's sad when people have this fake sort of drape of patriotism, and anybody that disagrees with them is not a patriot. Look, I love my country. I have many family members who have served in the military and continue to serve in the military. I love my country as much as the next guy. But for him to insult and say that somehow we're not as patriotic as he hasn't even read the history of the Constitution. The Constitution specifically says that the war-making power resides in Congress. He believes in this unitary theory of the executive that presidents can do whatever they want. The only way you can stop them is by defunding a war. That's not what our founding fathers said. It's not what the Constitution says. And he insults the Constitution, our founding fathers, and what we do stand for in this republic by making light of it and accusing people of lacking patriotism. I think that's a low gutter type of response.
But I do have criticism for Rand Paul and Mike Lee. While they might be right on this specific issue, they have been enabling Donald Trump over and over and over again. They've been defending him and his lies, his wrongdoings as executive or commander-in-chief over and over again. And so they even did it after making these types of statements because look, what do they care about? What do lawmakers unfortunately care about more than anything else? Their political careers. And when you go up against Donald Trump, there are consequences if you're a Republican. And so they have to add all these caveats about Lindsey Graham and specifically Donald Trump when they dare to cross him on issues like war. Take a look.
We're not quite at war, and I hope that this will be an isolated killing. And look, I'm a fan of the president. I think the president has shown remarkable restraint in many areas of foreign policy. But on the idea of who has the power,
Congress only wields the power to declare war. Now, look, I support President Trump. I support the way that he has wielded his power as commander in chief. I think he's actually been the most respectful of all presidents during my lifetime of the commander in chief power. I do think that the people who briefed the United States Senate today
and who
did
were
him
they?
a grave
Just so people at
disservice.
home.
Don't get me wrong, I love Donald Trump. He's shown remarkable restraint. He's so good. I mean, he's the best. Yeah, he went on an international tour talking about how amazing Kim Jong-un is, and they write each other love letters, and he shoots from the hip all the time. But he's a remarkable president. He's incredible. Please don't come at me. Please don't come at me, Trump. Don't tweet about me, please.
What
so
a couple
pathetic.
of weenies.
Yeah. Come
God.
on, just you're finally sticking up for something. You're finally making a strong statement that needs to be said as Republicans, right? Just you don't need to qualify it by pretending like Donald Trump is a rational human being who deserves to lead this country.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
don't know which is more pathetic. So Rand Paul with his "I'm a fan of him" stuff. He stood on the debate stage and he made fun of your hair, said you were ugly. God, like I know that we should choose our leaders for their intelligence, experience, and all of that stuff. But stop being such a little weenie. Seriously, this is why he didn't go anywhere in the primary. So that's like a personal thing where he continues to suck up this guy that like mocked him viciously. It's the Ted Cruz level of deference. But for Mike Lee, what he wanted to have you believe is he came out of that briefing, he was just red hot mad at how they wouldn't answer any of his questions and they were clearly hiding things and he didn't like how they responded to his hypotheticals. But Trump is great. It's just that the people in the briefing, they disappointed me and probably Trump too. Well, who do you think told them what to say? Like
right.
you think that they were like What were they backstabbing Trump? Trump was like, I want you to go there and tell good Mike Lee everything he wants to hear. And then they were like, screw Trump, we're not telling him anything. No, they don't have anything. If they're lying, it's because they're all lying. But he wants to pretend that I'm pointing it all out. They're clearly hoodwinking the American people, but Trump's good, don't get mad at him. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. They want to have their cake and eat it too.
Well, they want to have their cake and not be kicked out of the Republican Party while eating it, basically.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they want to hold Trump accountable without really holding Trump accountable. You can't do that. This started by Donald Trump. This entire escalation is Trump's fault. Okay, the lack of intelligence that was cited by Trump is Trump's fault. The intelligence didn't exist. He made a unilateral decision, and then he and his administration tried to make excuses for it or justify it after the fact. That is exactly what happened. They know it, and enabling him in this situation, enabling him in everything else he's done as president, right? Enables him to continue acting this way with no consequences. So if you're gonna have a backbone and you're gonna call him out, then do it appropriately, even if it means that you might lose your political career. Because the whole point of having members in Congress represent us is to have leaders represent us. Being a leader is not easy. Being a leader doesn't mean that you do what's beneficial for yourself in your career. Being a leader means that you lead, you do what's difficult and you do what's principled. And Republicans have shown us over and over again that while they talk about how strong they are and how patriotic they are the biggest cowards in this country because they will bow down to power if it means that they get to preserve their precious career.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.